Hey all, FoxyDits here. Today we're going to be learning how to skip half of Chapter 10 for both New Game and New Game Plus methods. So first let's get our setup. We want to make sure that we have at least one pair of Revival Earrings, which is the accessory that allows infinite flea glitch to occur. And then for New Game, we're going to also need around 6-7 potions, just to be sure. We also, for New Game Plus, skippers, we're going to have enemy skill with the self-destruct ability. We'll start off with that being on Cloud, make sure that he has, first strike, ability to get 2 ATB to be able to use that. And for both categories, we're going to start our damage down process on Abzu here. And the goal is just to get our entire party as dead as possible without actually dying. So I'm going to be using my New Game Plus strategy here, which is just to damage down Cloud. And he's going to use self-destruct on Abzu to take him out fairly quickly. And then we'll just finish up by cleaning up with Tifa. So Abzu uses a skill called Backwater Blast. So for New Game players who want to skip Chapter 10, ideally you'll want to take advantage of the fact that Backwater Blast does a ton of damage to your entire party, and it will help with an efficient damage down process.
What is it?
I'm pretty sure the sewers under.
But since this demonstration is on New Game Plus, I'm taking the damage down piecewise. So Cloud damage down first, and I'm just going to give him a little potion there to make sure that everything's safe here. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and send Aerith to her doom by equipping enemy skill on her with first strike, and she also has Whistle Wind Scarf just to make it a little bit faster and a little bit easier. And she's going to go ahead and take out the Sahagin with self-destruct. Got a little frog there, that's cute. Alright, so now Aerith is damaged down as well. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take care of Tifa, and we'll equip her with her ability to damage down. And again, for New Game players, we're just going to be going ahead and using all of these fights to efficiently get our party members all low HP. So Tifa leaves that fight behind. And self-destructs on all of these guys.
So that's the way it's gonna be, huh?
Battle ends shortly after that, and now we have all of our characters at very low HP. So for New Game, one of the easiest ways to take damage after the Abzu fight is going to be with the crabs, because they're very resilient, and they have two abilities that work for damage downs very well. First is Putrid Discharge, which is going to send out poison spume, basically, and leave puddles that are going to deal damage to our characters, and that way you can control which ones take the most damage. The other is when it puts up guard, and then you attack as the character you want to get damaged, and it'll do a retaliation move on them. So once you have all the characters low HP, you can go ahead and progress the chapter. After that little cutscene here, we're going to turn right around and head back into the sewers from whence we came. Take a moment to queue up a potion from Aerith onto Cloud. Right as we pass that corner, we can go ahead and throw that potion on Cloud. And that's going to guarantee that Tifa is the first to this ladder here, and Aerith catches up shortly afterwards. Now we're going to use a little bit of a glitchy setup, and our goal is to get Tifa to stay down at the bottom of this ladder here in this basin, while Cloud and Aerith can go back up. And we're going to do that by turning around here, and we're going to run away, letting Tifa drop down, And Aerith is going to take her opportunity to get on the ladder. The moment Aerith gets on the ladder, we're going to get back on as well, and we both climb up while Tifa stays down at the basin. Pretty simple. Tifa will walk away and start chilling. So next we'll go ahead and take this opportunity to make sure Cloud has his revival earrings, because he's going to be the one to cause infinite flee glitch by dying last in combat. And if you're on New Game Plus, make sure he has enemy skill as well, so he can self-destruct. So next, we go ahead and queue up Tifa to use potions on Cloud. It takes about 4 potions to lag her down there and get to the combat, so that we can warp her off of the ladder as we enter combat, which will give us null space disable and allow us to move out of bounds freely. So let's go ahead and start and count here. Start running. Hold L3, 1 potion, 2 potions, 3 potions, and then 4 potions. So now Tifa's scrambling up that ladder, but we're going to warp her off that ladder as we enter combat. Go ahead and switch to Aerith and make sure she dies in Slumber Spume. And Cloud should be the last one remaining before long here. So next what we're going to go ahead and do is achieve infinite flee by self-destructing. It'll probably kill a few of the rats, but that's okay. Alright, get out of dodge here. And we're going to wait until we have about 2 ATB. I'm just going to go ahead and use ATB boost. If you're on New Game, that usually just means killing the rats, because you don't have the ability to self-destruct. After that, we go ahead and revive Tifa. And Tifa was the one who was warped off of the ladder, correct? So she is imbued with null space disable, and once we get out of bounds, she'll be able to move around freely. So you notice here we can't get through this doorway. That's a problem, because we need to get back into that area to be able to get out of bounds. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is get collision shift on Tifa. But before we go ahead and get collision shift, I want to teach you all about another technique that we're going to be employing here, a unique technique called Punisher lag. So our goal to get a map deload is going to be to separate the characters. How do we separate characters? Well, one way to do it is to make sure Cloud moves really, really slowly, or almost not at all, while Tifa zooms around at the speed of light, because, you know, she's a lot faster in combat than Cloud is, especially Cloud in Punisher mode, which, as you can see, Cloud moves at a snail's pace in Punisher mode. But if we switch to Tifa right now, Cloud just rolls out of Punisher mode and follows us nearly at the same speed as she's capable of moving. So that's a problem, right? So I found a technique called Punisher lag, where we trick the game into keeping Cloud in Punisher mode, instead of her being switched to Tifa and him just rolling out of it the moment that the AI controls Cloud. So what we do is we go ahead and put Cloud into Punisher mode, and the second we do, this is all happening very almost instantaneously, is we switch to Tifa and queue up an ability on Cloud. And that lags him into staying in Punisher mode for about 6 seconds. You see, and he's moving at snail's pace while I'm able to run circles around him. So the technique, again, very quickly, is enter Punisher, switch to Tifa, and then hit R2 to queue up his shortcut menu, and then we'll queue up Braver, basically. And you see now he's stuck in Punisher mode for about 6 seconds, which is all the time that we'll need to be able to get to the map deload area. Alright, so now that we've had a crash course in Punisher lag, next we need to figure out how to get through this invisible wall here on the doorway that exists because the game really just wants us fighting enemies. They don't want us backtracking through the level when we're in combat here. So it puts up these little invisible walls, and we're going to need to get through this hallway to be able to get to the map deload point. So how do we do that? Collision shift is the property of having a shrunken collision collider on a character. Now, the reason why it's even possible at all is because when the AI is controlling your party members, like it is right now with Cloud, they're basically just trying to prevent themselves from getting stuck in places. If they sense that there isn't a path out of a corner or a wedge kind of collision area, then the game is instructed to shrink their collision capsule to the point where they can kind of slip out. And what we do is we take advantage of that moment where the AI decides to do that and swap to the character as they're shrunken, and it allows you to imbue that character for the duration that you're on them, that they're their active character, with collision shift. So we're going to do this, we're going to accomplish this by running Tifa into that invisible wall, and we'll use her unique ability, her uppercut, to kind of hold her in place for a moment. We'll switch to Cloud and then push her through the invisible wall. And you see, after a moment, she slides through. Well, if you swap to her in that exact moment that she's sliding through that invisible wall, I'm talking about within like less than a second, then she is imbued with the ability to basically move through those walls as long as you stay on her. If you swap away from her, she loses that ability instantly. Her collision goes back to normal. So you really want to swap to her just once, right as she clicks through that invisible wall. So let's do that again, and we'll combine the two techniques. So we're going to go ahead and get collision shift on Tifa, and we're going to slip through the hallway, going through both doorways, and then the moment we're out and on the other side of that hallway, we're going to go ahead and switch to Cloud, perform Punisher Lag, and then perform the rest of the skip. So these all happen in tandem, so watch closely here. Unique ability. Actually, I pressed that in the wrong direction. So unique ability is Tifa. Switch to Cloud, push her through, swap to her instantly, start parrying and punching through. She's through both. Now we're going to go ahead and Punisher Lag on Cloud while he's in that hallway. And instantly, we'll take Tifa on the journey over to this little edge of the sewer here. Cloud's going to brave her off in that hallway, but watch this deload happen. This little section of the sewer deloads if Cloud is in the hallway while Tifa is over here. See how that all just loaded in? And that gives you that little window of space where she can slip out of bounds. And because she has null space disabled, because we warped her off the ladder when we entered combat, she's able to actually stay out of bounds without the game using its anti-out of bounds mechanics to warp her back in. So normally, if we hadn't gotten null space disabled, she'd be just jittering around out here and we'd be unable to move. But because we have that, we are able to move around freely and punch parry. So we're going to head diagonally over to the aqueducts. And do you see this little wall here that separates kind of the blue area of the aqueducts to the golden light of the right side of the aqueducts? We're going to just diagonally shoot past that wall on the left side of it. And if we do that, we'll come out of bounds to see a bunch of floating Sahagin silhouettes here. And that's actually the end chapter area. So we're going to quickly punch parry as fast as possible back into bounds here. And now we can actually swap to Cloud and warp him over to us. We're going to end combat by killing the last remaining enemy. And because we burst into bounds here, this Sahagin totally didn't expect us to suddenly be here, and so he's still sleeping on the job. And chapter ends the moment we touch this ladder here. So boom, chapter's done. So that's how we skip half of chapter 10. If you have any questions, go ahead and join our Discord, which link is in the description. And feel free and ask me anything, and a lot of the community members know how to do this stuff too, so they'll be able to help out. Definitely the most difficult part, and the part you'll need to practice the most, is Punisher Lag, and combining that with the collision shift that allows Tifa to zoom through that hallway initially and get through those doorways. So being able to complete both getting collision shift and Punisher Lag all in that little moment of time where everything's executed really quickly, that takes a little bit of practice, but thankfully you can just do that part over and over and over. until it's comfortable to you and it's muscle memory at that point. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Take care.